I am one of your hosts of the WADcast. The Writers, Actors, Directors podcast. Every spot on a set in between. You know, looking at you gaffers. You do a great job. Just keep up the good work. I'm Josh. Here for the first time in a long time. Kind of chilling by myself. But
Yeah, okay.
shut up, you. We do have a very special guest tonight. Because that's what we do on the WADcast. When, Brandon's not playing hooky doing, crazy LA stuff. You know how it is out there with that lifestyle. Always up to something. But tonight's special guest is somebody you may have heard of. He does some very good writing and has tried his hand at directing and done a great job. And even acts once in a while. So this guy's a true WAD in every sense of the word. So please, welcome to the show, if you're in the chat, Mr. Brandon Yunk.
Oh, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I've wanted to have you on the show for a while, but the other guy was like, no.
My God. So I assume that's why you're not telling me what exactly tonight entailed, because I am going to assume that I am the special guest tonight.
You are what the show entails tonight.
Oh, my God.
Welcome to the hot seat, brah.
You're so retarded. Okay, go ahead. Hi,
Okay.
It's nice to meet you, Joshua.
Okay. All kidding aside, all jokes aside, Brandon's birthday is tomorrow. He's going to finally catch up to the rest of us old people, and he's going to be 38. So I figured, what better way on the WADcast to really celebrate the birthday than by talking about what makes this man the man he is and what makes him follow the route that he does. Kind of like we do with every other guest that comes here. So we're going to hang your picture on the wall when we're done with this interview. And hopefully our listeners will enjoy listening to you speak. So...
God. Oh, okay. So how are we going to do this? I mean, what are you going to interview me or something like that? I mean, we've already...
Well, it wouldn't make any sense to interview me. It's not my birthday. So I'm going to begin like I always do. Brandon, you're a writer, actor, director. Where did you come from? What got you on this path?
Well, I'm not really much of a actor. I've only acted when I had to.
But you've done it.
I've done it, yeah, but it was not exactly like my calling. I've only acted in things where I was pushed up against a wall. Or like if someone else, like with The Man Who Loved Flowers that Mark Hensley directed, he needed a last-minute stand-in. So I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do? Oh, wear a police outfit. Okay. Yeah, it comes with the belt, the baton, the gun, the uniform, the badge. Like, so I get to play with a gun and a baton. I'm in. I had my role as officer number 2. I had no speaking lines. So I didn't say anything in the short film, but I said plenty of things between takes.
Did you come
outside
up with,
that?
like an entire backstory for officer number 2?
No. Just I think Mark's backstory was stand there, don't say shit. That was the backstory.
Okay.
But no. What was the question? What got me into this? Was that the question?
What made you steer in the direction of being in entertainment?
God, dude, I wrote a comic strip series when I was in high school called 9 to 5 Workaholics. Had it published and everything. Even had a fan base. And I started working on fashioning it into an actual cartoon series. got so far as to pitch it to Comedy Central back in I think 2003 or 2004. I got laughed out the room, which it's a comedy, so I would assume like laughter is a good thing. Uh, their last words to me in the pitch meeting were, "We'll be in touch." Which, if anyone knows anything about any kind of interview anywhere, "We'll be in touch" is usually a no. Um, it's a polite way of saying "Go fuck yourself."
And since
Um,
my regular
huh?
co-host isn't here to use that one f bomb, I imagine it's okay if you use it this week.
Well, cool. Yeah. Fuck that guy. Oh, there's two.
He's a bum. He's a bum anyway. It's okay.
But no. Then I guess after that, I was engaged. Well, yeah, I was pretty much. I was.
Brandon, you still with us? Okay, we seem to have lost connection with Brandon for a moment.
Josh.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
We lost you for a minute.
What's the last thing you heard me say?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I was talking about just, I did you hear me talk about 9 to 5 workaholics and all that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
And you were being laughed out of the room.
Okay.
We did the F-bomb thing, and it was right after that you started cutting out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, basically, after 9 to 5 workaholics didn't pan out, shortly after that, I was engaged. She passed away in a car accident, and that was in 2005. I gave myself a year to try to figure things out. And so I ended up coming across a like an ad on TV for the Art Institute of California, well, the Art Institutes. So I decided, like, I'll look into some place I've never been, which was Los Angeles. So I applied for AI in California and Los Angeles. I got it, which, to get accepted into the Art Institute was not exactly like a hard thing to do. I mean, there were still, I'm pretty sure there were grown ass men that ate glue there and they got in. But I just fell in love with the actual whole thing of filmmaking once I started studying it. Film school was the biggest regret of my life, but at the same time, the contacts and connections I still have today are not. I'm really good friends with a lot of people I went to college with. And that's it. Like outside that, I found out that I really love screenwriting, so I stuck with the writing aspects of things, and a few awards here and there, a few offers to buy stuff, and me saying no because I'm a dumbass. So yeah. How did you get into podcasting?
Again, not my show, man. I'm just here to interview you.
Oh God. All right. So what's up next?
Okay, 9 to 5 workaholics. Let's dig into that for just a second. For some of you eagle-eyed viewers, you might have noticed a poster for it in the Bad Agent short film available on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
I haven't watched it yet if you haven't. And if you have already seen it, but maybe you missed this little Easter egg, go back. Look for it. It's pretty clever little placement for a past work. Now, tell me about 9 to 5 workaholics and not only what it is about the characters and the sense of humor that made you love it so much, but what about it in that point of your life made you feel the need to put this particular project together?
I hate customer service with an absolute passion. I cannot stand working customer service. Any of those retail or fast food or whatever kind of jobs that you would get like when you're in high school, I hated all of them. No, but the only job I ever had growing up when I was a teenager in my early 20s, I really loved was working on a boat. Well, for a ferry system called the Cape May Lewis Ferry.
Okay.
So like I loved working that because I was on a boat. Like you could calculate how long you'd be there because you would only work two full round trips, which each round trip is maybe about 3.5 hours long. But 9 to 5 Workaholics was based off of me, and I included some of my friends, made them into characters. But it centers around five. Yeah, and it kind of I started evolving it, but when I initially wrote it, it was about five teenagers, um, fresh out of high school, working summer jobs, and it's their first experience working, 9 to 5, hence 9 to 5 Workaholics. But well, all these other teenagers are actually responsible and doing their thing and think about their futures and everything else. You have this one character, Brett, who is kind of like the flagship character based off of me. Um, Making me the flagship character was not intentional. It's just he was the one that a lot of people responded the best to. Um, so a lot of the things that I did at work made its way into the comic strip. Um, I would have this manager that would come up to me. I think I came into work one time late, and that's actually where I really started thinking about doing this. I came into work when I was I was a cashier. It's not exactly rocket science or brain surgery. I was a cashier at Acme Markets in Cape May, New Jersey, and I came in 10 minutes late, and the front end cashier supervisor immediately started jumping down my throat, telling me, "You're late. Every time you're late." An unsatisfied customer who could not find what they needed because you were not there to help them storms out of the store, which makes us lose money. So therefore, you're stealing from the company by being late. What do you have to say for yourself? And that's like the short version of the rant. The rant went on for like a good 3 or 4 minutes. I told my supervisor, a little cocky dumbass 17-year-old kid. Me being a cocky dumbass 17-year-old kid, I look at him. I was like, well, I mean, by you keeping me here, telling me about these customers that are so unsatisfied that they're storming out the front of the store because I'm not there to help them find stuff, even though I'm a front end cashier. Keep me here longer, allowing more so-called unsatisfied customers to walk out the front of the store. You're kind of, also stealing. I mean, I guess we're are we committing a heist of customers? What are we doing? He just stared at me for a second, told me to go clock in. I'm like, you know what? Uh, my fiance at the time, we just knew each other from working there and going to high school together. She was cracking up. She told me that she could imagine seeing that in a movie or a cartoon or something. So I decided to write the very first comic strip I ever wrote for 9 to 5 Workaholics. I pitched it to a few newspapers. A little newspaper in New Jersey ended up taking it on, as well as a paper for like a circular paper for like ads called the Trading Post of Cape May County. So it was published in the Cape May Gazette and also in the Trading Post of Cape May, and just kind of, I don't know. I did it for about a year or two. I loved doing it, but it just kind of got, I don't know, boring. I had no idea how to write a comic strip. I had no idea how to write a comic book. I would literally just trace my driver's license to get the boxes for the comic strips. But a lot of things that my friends said or did made it into the comic strip series. Like my one friend that's absolutely homophobic, well, was very homophobic, said that one of the dancers in the birdcage was hot as hell, not knowing it was a drag queen. We informed him that it was a drag queen. We couldn't find him, and he was in his room having a borderline complete mental breakdown. That made into one of the comic strips. So this is, of course, in 2002, 2003, where stuff like that was still considered, funny. But yeah, that's 9 to 5 Workaholics in a nutshell. Just a bunch of teenage characters. I think now when I revamped it, they're in their 20s. But I feel like now I should revamp it again, call it 9 to 5 Workaholics, the management years or retirement, whatever, because now I'm pushing 40. So
You don't have to make it sound that old.
no, I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's having a slacker that stays a slacker for 20 some odd years. It's I guess it could be funny, but it's just more sad to me.
Hmm.
So I don't really think I should use Brett as the flagship character after like 20 years. I kind of like the idea of cartoons aging with a character like Adventure Time. You know, those characters actually do age.
Mm-hmm.
All these other shows were like Family Guy, The Simpsons, South Park, and everything else. All these cartoons where the characters have stayed the exact same age for 30 years. I mean, 20 to 30 years, 30 plus years for The Simpsons. And that's
I'm
probably
trying to
the
think.
most I've actually spoken about 9 to 5 Workaholics in a long time.
Well, I try to dig deep on the important aspects of, what someone's inspirations for their
It's just weird because it's
career.
like you've known me for a few years, man. It's just like really odd.
Well, yeah, admittedly, full disclosure, Brandon and I kind of know each other off the air. And, okay, that's an understatement, but I think the point I'm trying to get to here is that, we got people, maybe they're listening to us for the first time, and I'm trying to help them get to know you a little better.
Oh God. Okay. Well, I look forward to your birthday so I can, help people get to know you.
Oh, what? My birthday falls like right in the middle of the week.
That's fine. This is the first time in a long time my birthday's fallen on the Saturday, so
Just, just suffer for a little bit, okay? You
okay.
brought up some really interesting things, and while we're still on the precipice of your earliest creations, why don't we take a look at some of your earliest inspirations? You brought up a specific garden state. What was it?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, and I know you're the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan on earth, but
Oh
there's
God, no.
also there's also another filmmaker that comes at us via New Jersey. Why don't you tell us about your adoration of one Kevin Smith?
I swear to God, if Kevin Smith ever wants like free, like, oh no, free press, I think we're just like kind of giving it to him.
Well, if there's
No,
ever
I really, I lived in New Jersey when they were filming Clerks, and I remember hearing all about it. I mean, it was everywhere. It was all over the papers up there.
this dumb guy's filming a movie at his workplace, isn't he so dumb? And then what are we at? 25, 27 years later, something like that.
Oh yeah. He had Kevin Smith. I respect the hell out of Kevin Smith, and also respect the hell out of his boss, who encouraged him to use the quick
Yeah.
stop to film Clerks.
No one ever gives that guy any credit. The manager that said, "Yeah, okay, just do it when we're closed."
And that's exactly it. Like, I mean, he just gave Kevin Smith full permission to film inside the store as long as it was being filmed while the store was closed, and he trusted him wholeheartedly to do it. To the point now where, like, Kevin Smith, 26 years later, is still very close friends with this man. And
Could you
like, man, that
imagine
kind of
how everything would be different if he said no?
Oh yeah, right. Well, I mean, that's the thing that people don't think of when it comes to filmmaking is locations. If you know someone that has a location, if it's something that you think is really like the perfect spot, then it never hurts just to ask that person. I mean, worst they could say is no one, go screw yourself. But
I think the worst thing they could say is sure, $10,000 a day.
well, yeah, but it's like I mean, all it is just like a matter of asking someone. That is it. So it's but that's what Kevin Smith did. He asked his employer if he could film inside the store, and the employer was like, "Oh, sure, that's great." Absolutely encouraged Kevin Smith to make his own movie. And I mean, that's just, I mean, if it weren't for that, there would be no Clerks. And while Clerks is not my favorite Kevin Smith movie, I mean, you have to respect it because it's one that launched his career. Clerks 2 actually is my favorite Kevin Smith movie.
Excellent musical number.
The musical number, like the story alone, is fantastic to me. But so yeah, no, it's like Kevin Smith is a huge idol to me. I love what he's done because his work, all of his work has a lot of heart, even if it's something that like Jersey Girl is probably his least popular work in like before he started branching out to do other things like Tusk or what do you call it, Yoga Hosers or even like with Red State, Cop Out. When he was just focused on like the what he calls the View Askew universe with Jay and Silent Bob and stories around them, he stepped outside of it to do Jersey Girl, and even that movie, like it's not his most popular movie, but like I mean, it's actually probably like I think his most chastised film for the time being. But I mean, just like I mean, look at his stuff and just he has like a very very impressive what do you call it?
Filmography.
What's that?
Filmography.
Yeah. Sorry, I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I'm noticed I've been having some issues with something. I don't know what it is.
Huh.
Hopefully, it's not really an issue on the listener end. Checking the levels. Looks like I'm a little bit low.
There you are. I can hear you better now.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, now I can hear you perfectly fine.
Now that we've talked about Kevin Smith, I want to know. Everybody has their artists, their directors, actors, or whatnot that they're fans of. Fandom, I believe, is in a different ballpark than people that you admire for their work. Because, I mean, Tommy Wiseau has fans, right?
Does he?
Yes, he has fans. People love what he does.
Oh.
But it's a fandom lens. So what they're looking at isn't so much a analytical critique of a piece of art as much as like when most people go to summer blockbuster movies, they're like, you just turn off your brain and enjoy it. It doesn't need to be analyzed. You don't have to necessarily respect the people that made this as much as just enjoy it for what it is. So that's why I say there's a difference between fandom and admiration for work. So
yeah,
I kind of and I think the listeners also have an idea of the things that you put on your fan hat for. But I want to know, who are the people that you look at their work and just from a person that knows what it takes to make a movie, who do you respect Who are the people that you absolutely admire their work?
Harold Ramis is one of my top ones. Harold Ramis, his writing, his directing, his acting, everything. Like, just he is responsible for some of the most successful cult classics in the last like 40 years.
True.
I mean, kicking it from Stripes all the way up to what was it? Stripes, Ghostbusters. He reworked that script for Dan Aykroyd. If it weren't for him with Ghostbusters, we wouldn't have actually had the story that's around now. But Groundhog Day is a big one. But as good as it gets, one of my favorite films by him. Harold Ramis is someone that I regret never having been able to meet or work with. To have had a conversation with him. Let's see. Outside of Kevin Smith and Harold Ramis, just for the practical effects of things, I've got to go really old school. Buster Keaton with his silent films. If you've ever watched a Buster Keaton film, it looks like they do these insane stunts. And even by today's standards, they hold up. And it's just all practical effects. I respect the hell out of it. But I will say there's one person that I applaud as, well, two people rather. I forget the guy's. I want to say it's Rob McKittrick or the guy that wrote and directed Waiting. The guy didn't have a credit to his name, and Waiting is pretty much like the modern day's answer. Well, I guess not modern day now because it's like circa 2005. But at the time, Waiting was something that people that work in restaurants could identify with. Much like how Kevin Smith when he wrote Clerks. Clerks was something that people that work in convenience stores and everything else could easily identify with because of just things that they deal with. But between him, one person I respect for coming from being a bartender to writing a cult classic movie, but kind of screwed himself out of a career, Troy Duffy. Like, he's a man that I would love to be able to host, have on the show to talk to, because he, it's no secret that Boondock Saints 2 didn't happen primarily because Troy Duffy was borderline blacklisted by Hollywood after his behavior when it came to making Boondock Saints. But there's no doubt that Boondock Saints is a very, very well-written movie. And the fact that it still has the fan base it has to this day.
Yeah.
It's,
It definitely, the sequel introduced me to Clifton Collins Jr., so I've been kind of a fan of his work ever since. But that original, it had it had a lot of great drama, a lot of great action, and God, Rocco's one-liners were amazing. So yeah, definitely Troy Duffy, mad props for having his work on your short list of admirable projects. And
yeah, I think he's someone that deserves respect for, like I said, if anything, for the mere act of coming from absolutely nothing, having nothing, to being able to get a movie made. Because it was actually, for once, it was actually kind of an original idea. It was fresh. It's not very often you see stuff like that.
and it raised some very interesting questions.
Oh yeah.
About vigilantism, and that's, I mean, what more can you ask from a movie than something that makes you laugh and think when you walk out? You're quoting it like crazy, but you're still arguing the morality that I only wish that I could do something so well that people enjoy the hell out of it, but also all of the thought-provoking points that I want to add get discussed. And
and real quick, I wanted to say something to Sue. I don't think she's usually in our chat, but she's not tonight. But she wished me happy birthday, and just I do want to say, Sue, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, go ahead. We're talking about like Troy Duffy with like being like provocative. Oh, real quick, I want to say something. Like having like with his provocative stories.
Mm-hmm.
So. But yeah, so I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just I was thinking about it. I didn't want to like lose my thought process. I wanted to make sure I thanked Sue for.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Being a homegirl.
You're a guest on the show tonight, so whatever you want to talk about, pretty much. But I do kind of have to lead the way a little bit. I know you're not usually in this position, so I will hold your hand and transition us into the next topic.
Well, thank you. That's fine.
Okay, 9 to 5 workaholics. You put some years into that. It gained the following, and then you stopped.
Yep.
I don't think this is really the time, the platform to really go into the nitty gritty of that, but I do want to know how long was it before you were able to really get the juices flowing again, and what was the idea that brought you back to the table?
As far as what, 9 to 5 workaholics?
No, about just writing in general.
Oh, right. Are you talking about like after my fiance's death, or are you talking about like in general?
Yeah, that gap that you had after 9 to 5 workaholics to what you worked on next.
Well, mind you, it's like I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I wrote 9 to 5 workaholics. I was, 18, fresh out of high school when I got that published. So from the time I was 18 to the time I was 20. Everything was 9 to 5 workaholics, and I even toyed with the idea of writing a whole series, and I think I actually did write a half-hour cartoon for it. I shared it with my best friend and this guy that lived with him, this guy David that was there, and I shared it with them, and they were cracking the hell up because originally one character is based off of me, one character is based off of Steven, and another one is based off of Dave when he was younger. So I shared it with them. They were laughing their asses off at it. And that's the last time I touched it for a while. And then I wrote some other ideas out. I drew some sketches that I actually posted on Facebook like 10 years ago of all the characters, like modified, with the mall, everything that they work at. And I was talking to Brandon Sparks, who we worked with on Extra Life. I spoke with him about writing maybe we should like team up and write a series, and we did. While we were working on it, that is when Judy passed away. So I stopped. It was fun for me to write it because I could share it with Judy and she would laugh her ass off, or she would like shake her head in like judgment and let me know if I was being an idiot with my writing or not. So after she died, I was like, okay, well maybe I was 22 then. I'm like, maybe I should just like stop and put old toys away and just figure out whatever the fuck it is I'm supposed to figure out with life. Pardon my language. I know I've got like one per show, but I think that's actually three tonight. Um, but no, it was like I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And like I said, I didn't know. I had no idea, no clue. Um, so I go to film school. I'm taking this writing class with Yves Martin. He was my writing professor. Learning about editing, learning about sound design, learning about all this stuff, sound mixing, directing the actor, working in a TV studio, operating a multi-camera TV set. Um, so I'm learning a lot of stuff, but what really resonated with me was writing and directing. Um, I was helping everyone in our freshman final. We all had to come and script together and do our, this short little 3 to 4 minute film. I'm eating up the chance to work on all these sets and all these short films. And then when it came time for me to film mine, I had less than 48 hours to write, cast, film, edit, and clean up my own film. I couldn't get anyone to help me. I had two of my friends, this guy Paul and this girl Sloan that I went to school with. I had an actor that was going to play the lead role, but he was kind of a douche. So I told him to kick bricks, and I played the lead while directing the whole thing. And I don't think I slept for about 3 or 4 days straight doing this. It's not advised. But I cranked this whole thing out. I cranked out this 9 minute story of a guy that it sounds like he's writing a breakup letter to his girlfriend. You find out he's actually writing a suicide letter. While drinking himself to death and everything else. And I realized I fell in love. Like I was absolutely. It was like that scene in Sweeney Todd when he gets his straight racers back and he holds his arm up and he's like, "At last, my arm is a complete again." Like it was like that when I was writing. I'm like, this is something that if I had done this sooner, I probably could have worked through what I was working through so much easier than the torture I was putting myself through. So I wrote this 9 minute film and I asked Jesse, my professor, I asked Jesse Hoffman if she could show it last. Let everyone else show their films first. Show mine last. Because I knew what the other films were. The other films were these short, little, cute, funny, lovey-dovey kind of movies. And mine was about a guy that blows his brains out at the end of the movie. It goes from black and white to color, and black and white in his modern, current period of time of the guy's life when everything's a mess, and color when he's in his happier times, and the color starts changing a little bit when he finds his best friend and his girlfriend in bed together. This whole movie was like so moody and so morose that when it was done, no one even knew what the hell they just watched. Which is that was my way of telling the class to go screw themselves because no one would help me out. I made a movie and got one of the best grades in the class because I'm a spiteful asshole. So I ended up moving back to the East Coast. I wrote a feature-length script called The Groomsman. It won multiple awards. Someone offered to. It was almost optioned. I got scared of the. It was almost optioned by one person. I thought about that, but then someone else wanted to actually buy the script. I thought about that, but I said no to the money because I figured if these people want this script so much, I must have a really good idea. I'll make it myself. Never happened. Turns out making a movie is actually a lot of really hard work.
Yeah, it's a little bit of work in there.
Especially when the budget is close to about, at minimum, $6.5 million.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, so I wrote The Groomsman. Then I wrote a few other feature-length screenplays. Bad Agent was something that we had talked about, but I ended up writing an actual script for it a few years back. I think you and I actually both wrote a series of scripts for it, and then I drew some of the ideas together, and I just kind of came up with what we have now, with a short film on Amazon. But yeah, I mean,
we'll get to Bad Agent in just a second.
well, I'm just saying it's like, but that's like where, like, I think honestly, with writing a beginning's end, uh, it's on YouTube and it is embarrassing to watch. But
a beginning's end, you say?
yeah, it's here. Give me a second. I'll send you the link via text. I am the quality of uploading to YouTube back then was vastly different because it was uploaded in 2006. So, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that was uploaded through like the after it was digitized and everything else, it's really just kind of in 13 years has had 441 views. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I did a search and I'm getting a lot of Semisonic.
Yeah, no, it's here. I just texted you the actual link to it. It's extremely.
All right, let's see.
It's the very first thing I've ever actually filmed. But then I also worked on music videos I directed, put together. So, I mean, there's been quite a few things that have happened since a beginning's end. But doing that actually got me a job working with a production house in New Jersey called Aurora Coast Productions because they were impressed with my first time editing that I've ever done. And apparently a beginning's end is so believable at the ending with the gunshot and everything else that it made my mom cry because she jumped out of her seat next to me once the gunshot went off and all that. She wasn't expecting it. So yeah, I could be an actor, just don't want to be. Okay. But yeah, so it's just like it's one of those deals where that's where that all began, and I don't know, working on doing some more stuff once the Corona apocalypse comes to an end.
Let's see, we're hitting the 45-minute mark. Still so much left to unwrap. We are going to fast forward just a tad bit.
Okay.
And we are going to talk about the day that your life changed forever. When you met the person that you knew was the one. We're going to talk about the day you met me.
Oh my God. Go together. 1 second. Let me step inside because I've got the wind blowing in the microphone. 1 second here. Okay. But I mean, that was I honestly I think I'd actually posted something online looking for I believe it was someone to help make a film. And instead it was who answered it was Ramsey Hill. And he introduced, he sat down. The three of us, so Well, the four of us, because my ex Alicia was with us. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken, she was with me when we all met up.
Yes, yes, that was the case.
But
McDonald's, Walmart.
yep, a McDonald's, Walmart. Yeah, um, yeah. It's no, it's like but we met up and we started working on Extra Life. Uh, I like the idea. Not really my type of style shooting, like with that confessional stuff, but it was funny for what it was with the story and everything else. There's a bunch of slackers in their 20s and or like one guy in his early 30s and a manager in his 40s, all working in a game store. It was by no means a realistic depiction of it because you had like five characters working at the same time in
Mm-hmm.
a used video game store. And I think our way of explaining it was, oh, it's a franchise. Because that makes so much more sense. But no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, working on that, working with you and Brandon, and writing out an entire series over the course of the summer. I had a great time doing it. Like, I mean, I was cracking myself up, sitting in the living room, just laughing at stuff that I'm writing. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now that particular project, actually, it it had some. I hate to use the word traction because it seemed like it was just not. It was on the fast road to nowhere. That's, I think, what I'm really trying to say, because even though the entire first season was not only plotted but scripted, um, everything was wrapped up as far as the writing goes. And even though we had actually gotten to the point of having some table reads with people that were very much inclined to play the actual characters, even though we had a independent game retailer ready and raring to go to allow us to start filming. Even though all of these things were good, all of these things were good to go, we still did not wind up shooting a single second of footage for an episode. I do believe maybe one like vignette came about, like a selfie camera thing. I don't remember. Maybe we were just talking about it. I don't recall.
No, we all the closest we'd come was taking pictures of the inside of the store.
Okay,
That
so
was it. And
that's
it
the
was, I mean, it was
closest.
at Games Galore in Jacksonville, and it's just like it was the perfect place for it to be shot.
Absolutely. When I'd thought about the store, because no, this episode's not about me, but when
No, go for it.
I'd
What's up?
I came up with the idea for Extra Life is like clerks for millennials, right? Because people in our generation, we are millennials.
Yep.
I almost prefer the being called the Toys R Us generation, because we were told our entire lives that we don't have to grow up, and quite frankly, a lot of us didn't. Not in the way that our parents did before us, or even the Gen Xers did. Where it became a lot of have dreams, and then dump your dreams and work for corporate America.
And then be miserable the rest of your life and take it on everybody else. Yeah, no, I got you.
Have your 2.5 kids be, have your little nuclear family. No, ours is really the generation that kind of broke free of that mold, and that's where we got, places like Etsy starting up, and eBay, selling your crap,
Yep.
and calling it art. That was us. We did that, and yeah, it's come a long way since. But the fact of the matter is, nobody really represented us or that attitude when it came to entertainment. Not really. Not in the way Clerks did, by capturing a certain vibe at a certain moment. And
Well, yeah, that's
that,
exactly it. Like, I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, that was the brilliance behind Clerks. Like, I mean, Kevin Smith said that, there was, God, I think the movie Slackers. He said the movie Slackers, he saw that, and it was just people talking, and he was like, "Oh, I can do that." And that's where Clerks actually came from. It was from him watching Slackers and thinking that,
Mm-hmm.
he could do the same thing. And he did, because he was saying, like, he thinks conversations he has with his friends are interesting, and he never sees conversations like that actually happening in movies. And they're real conversations that friends would have. Like talking about like Star Wars and things of that nature. I mean, these are things that you don't see, and you didn't see in a lot of movies before that. You'd like see little glimpses of conversations, but this whole movie takes place over a day, and almost all their conversations are either sex or Star Wars related.
Yeah, and that's what made it work, and that's exactly why I thought that our generation needed that kind of representation instead of one Star Wars reference after another. It was about games and gaming and that electronic pop culture life. That's what I wanted to represent. And when you came on, it was interesting to say the least, because you got it right away. You understood exactly where the characters were coming from. You understood, why some characters had to behave in certain ways. And I don't want to say it's because you're a good writer, because that seems like a really big cop out, right?
Because you can say it.
What's that?
You can say that. I won't get mad.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to. I mean, Stephen King is a great writer, right? One of the greatest when it comes to, what he does. But it's not like he could take the characters that popped out of my brain and bring them to life.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they would be his characters the way he wrote them. But you and I just were so instantly in sync that these creations were fully fleshed out and alive by the time that you and Sparkles were able to add your flavor to them. And it was less.
And see, but that's the other thing, though, because mind you, it's like bringing Brandon into it. The other Brandon, he had a large part to do with a good portion. Well, I know that we all brought him in a little late into the game, because I think he came in after we were like working on episode 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't part of it very, very long. But it's just like with him, like, I mean, there was a lot of things where, as you put it, like the voice of our generation, getting what you were saying was easy for me because I'm part of that generation.
Right.
So it took like next to no thinking for me to really think of those characters and what they would say, how they would act. TC, which was like the main character in the series, was not expected to, I guess, take after. It wasn't meant for me to play that part when you wrote it. It just happened to be a character of whom I can identify with the personality quite well.
Yeah, it seemed like I wrote you before I knew you. It was.
I knew
really
I
weird.
loved you before I met you. Yeah, I know. I get it.
Aw, that's so sweet. But anyway, yeah, and when you were just, spitting out the lines. It's like, God, it's.
Are you talking about
exactly,
with the table reads?
well, that and just the writing itself. Whenever I read him, it was in your voice. Always after we hung out for the first time, because I'm like, it's this guy. He gets it. He understands the character, um and while it was supposed to be more of an ensemble piece where everybody gets their proper screen times and plots and subplots. The main character, I hate to say it, one of the other main characters was, because you had two different sides of the scale representing, like you said, our generation, who we are as an age range, right?
Yeah.
And TC represented, without a doubt, the ones that never grew up, the ones that dedicated their whole lives just to the things they loved and having fun with it and never moving past.
Just complete lacking impulse control or anything like that. Just
not only impulse control, but he has no desire to be something, right?
yeah, like he's good with just like
He's
Well,
good.
I think there's actually like a line in one of the scripts. I've got to go back and reread these things because actually, I think I'm actually going to do it this week. I'm going to go back and reread Extra Life. But excuse me, um, TC actually said I wrote a line in there because it's something that I thoroughly like feel. Because TC I think is like 24 years old, 25 years old, somewhere around there in the script. And I was thinking like I was only 5 years older than him when we started writing it. So I'm thinking, I'm 30 years old, and I remember how it was when I was in my early 20s, and I was just thinking, you know what, I really don't expect to be on this planet that long. Like, I don't have those long-term plans. I don't have contingencies or anything like that. Like, and a large part of that is also due to my experience with loss. But it's like at the time, like that's just how I viewed the world. Like everything was disposable to me, and nothing was going to last anyway. So why should you take anything that seriously? So TC's his speech patterns were already easy for me to work with because it was so close to my own. But adding more of the personality to him was just, I mean, it was fun. But you're going to say like, who is the other person that I guess like the yin to that yang?
Well, God, I wish I remembered the character's name right now because it's completely slipped my mind. But
was it the lead female or was it the guy's cousin?
His cousin,
Brian.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, that's it, Brian. He did buy into that, corporate dream where you give up your childish things, you get a corporate job, and it completely collapsed under him, and he had nowhere else to go. So his cousin kind of hooked him up, and this series really dealt with not only TC's inability to be an adult and kind of coping with that, but also Brian's inability to understand TC and where he's coming from, and why that was the reason his fiance left him, and that was the reason why he lost his job. It was because he stopped knowing how to live, and he was that quintessential drone that showed up, clocked in, and did everything he was supposed to.
Yeah, like I mean, see, if we were to go back to Extra Life now, it would be so much more sad if I were to play TC right now at the age of 30, almost 38 years old. You're in a game store with a bunch of teenagers. You got this one guy with a foul mouth, and you got his cousin who's older than him, who's now working in the game store. And no one likes him, but they all like the cousin who's 38, like who should be like the old man in the That would actually be kind of a funny dynamic, though. It's like TC was the old man. He's even older than the manager, but now Brian's the old man, and TC's like, "Yeah, see, what's up? Pay close attention. Planning is a waste of time."
There were so many things, so many directions that show could have gone in if it had just. It's always going to be something I wish I was able to see, but as things move forward, one of the things that we've mentioned on this show many times, even though that project itself fell apart in a not only professional but in some ways personal way. One of the brightest points was the fact that not only did we meet for this project, but our working relationship and quite frankly our personal friendship blossomed from that point on, and I'd like to think we became pretty tight. When I was married, we went out. That was a lot of fun, and being a part of this duo that we've kind of made ourselves has been definitely a highlight of my everything, I guess. I don't want to say life. That just seems so generic. But yeah, my everything is enhanced because I know you.
Oh, thank you. Truly, I mean, no, I really do appreciate that. It's probably like the sweetest thing I have heard from anybody in a long time. See, Danielle doesn't say stuff like that to me. My girlfriend says something like, "You're a punk bitch." Like, yeah, she says she loves me, but this is like, I mean, she'll still say like the "I love you" and everything else, but I'm limited as to how many of those I get. So no, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. I greatly appreciate that.
You should have one coming up though, because your birthday's coming up tomorrow.
I was going to make a really vulgar joke, but I think if Danielle were to ever listen to this, God forbid her mom were to listen to this, I don't think either one of them would be appreciative of my humor.
So we'll hold on to that one for a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, so after the project went dark, you moved to Los Angeles. After how would you describe that time after Extra Life, and what was next? Hurricane Party?
No, actually, after writing Extra Life with you, I wrote this script called Making It. And it was where I was kind of reestablishing myself as just strictly a like a writer for like features and everything else.
Okay.
Because let's see, I wrote Making It based on a large what if. See, all of my scripts are always like what ifs to me. They say that you should never use a personal story or a personal situation to write your stories, but all of mine are very personal to me. The groomsman was a what if. Like my older brother and his best friend they have like this. I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but they've gone at one point. They went years without talking to each other. Like the friendship just kind of halted. And so I wrote the groomsmen based off of the idea that, if I were to get married, I would want them both to be the groomsmen in my wedding. but I would be afraid that they would try to kill each other. So how would I get them to, I don't know, tolerate the other person's existence for, however long? So that's where the groomsmen came from. Making it was a what if my fiance did not die, because my fiance, my best friend, his wife is that was Judy's best friend. Um, Judy and I introduced them to each other, and excuse me, at the time, I think Stephen had just I think he just had one kid. I think he he had two. He had two children at that point in time. Now he's up to five. Um, but he had two children at the time. And I was writing this whole idea of well, what would happen? Like, how would I picture things if she didn't die? I'm not a dad. So I was thinking, like, I'm not a father at all. So I'm thinking, like, well, I would imagine that if Judy and I did not have kids, we'd be like surrogate kind of parental figures to those children. Like, we'd be Uncle Brandon and Aunt Judy. Um, so I wrote this whole idea, this whole premise around the idea of, like, what if she didn't die? And the story takes place over the course of 18 years. From when the characters based off of Steve and Danielle had their first child. And you see how things change, like growing up. Because adults don't grow up really until they actually have a kid. To my understanding, I hear that's usually what it is. They don't really completely figure things, like they don't really get a bearing on what they feel they need to be until they are faced with parenthood. So I wrote this story around that premise. After that, I was like, okay, well, maybe I should write something that maybe I can film. So that was Hurricane Party, a story that, for the most part, takes place in one location the entire time. So yeah, and then after that, like I have a few other features, a few shorts under my belt, but that's really it, buddy. I mean, like nothing too impressive there.
Well, I do believe that there are some people in our screenwriting group that would disagree and say that anytime a project is, I don't want to say complete, but whenever a first draft is done, that is always a good accomplishment.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like no, like writing a screenplay is not easy at all. So no, it's absolutely accurate. Like when you have that first draft done and everything else, first off, the relief that you get from that first draft.
All right, it's done.
It's like,
It's garbage, but it's done.
well, it's like I look at that relief as being very similar to that of the relief you get from taking a nice long shit. Like that's how I look at it, like writing like finishing the first draft. It's as relieving as taking a dump that you've been trying to take for a long time that just has not been wanting to come out.
That is so apt.
So this is like, oh God. Uh,
Ah, oh, thank
no,
God.
no more.
And also, like taking a dump, um, the sometimes the more it hurts, the better it comes out. And sometimes you really have to make sure a mess isn't left behind, because the sloppier it is, the more paper you go through.
Yes, make sure you wipe very thoroughly.
I'm sure that's the exact kind of advice people listening to the WADcast are looking for. And whether or not they know it, it is actually a very fitting description. And one of these days, if you haven't already finished your first draft of your first script, you will write the end or fin or whatever you plan on closing your story with. And you're going to be like, oh, okay. I'm gonna have to go back and check everything that just happened.
Yeah, gotta make sure you're clean and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're clean, you're fresh, you're good to go, like all that. So, I really wish Sue was in the. Is Sue on our show tonight, or is she?
No, I don't see Sue in the chat tonight.
Wow.
She'll probably wind up listening at a later date. So, well, whenever you listen to this, hey Sue. Glad.
Yes, hey Sue, and again, thank you for the birthday wish. I greatly appreciate it. You're beautiful. You're awesome. We both miss you. Truly. I loved having her on the show, like both times. Like she's so much fun to hang out with.
Yeah, for sure. And pushes our FCC limits. We don't have any. I'm just kidding. You know what? With that being said, I think it's time. It's time to talk about a certain something, a conversation, a phone conversation. Let me start this off with, at one point in time, I was what was called a lawn guy, I guess. I managed lawn pests for a pest control company. And you see, the thing is, when you do something like that, when you drive a lawn truck and you're spraying, chemicals onto the ground all day long, just walking back and forth. And when you have a route that is inexplicably far, so you're like, wow, it's crazy to send trucks this far away from the city. I literally had to drive past St. Augustine and for some areas. For those of you familiar with the Northeast Florida area, you kind of understand that's not just a drive down the street. I mean, it's not like Jacksonville to Orlando or anything, but it's definitely not, going to the corner store or anything like that. So long drives meant a lot of podcasts for the most part, but it also meant phone calls. So every once in a while, either I would pick up the phone or the phone would ring, and Brandon and I would just chat, because that's what friends do. You call each other on the phone and chat. By the way, if certain people are listening to this and going, oh, that's what friends do, Josh? That's what friends do? They pick up the phone, they call. Why the hell haven't you called me in weeks? Well, I just want to say I'm sorry. And I will. Yes. So one of the things that Brandon and I would talk about on the phone is, we'd have an idea for this, we'd have an idea for that, and we'd just randomly talk BS about movies and TV shows, and we just talked about entertainment and the things we liked, things we didn't like. And one of the things that, we did was, talked premises, and it was during one of these conversations where it was brought up, what if there was an agent and he was just really bad at his job?
Yep.
And I would say something, and then you would say something, then I would say something, and then we, I think the point was we're just trying to get each other to laugh. That's that's pretty much what it boiled down to, and we were both pretty successful at that. At least that was my goal, just to get you to laugh.
Oh yeah,
and
that's pretty much like half our damn friendship, buddy.
Yeah,
like just.
So there we are. We're talking about this awful agent, and I had to go back to work, and we didn't talk about it again. That was, it was just, again, one of those random conversations that you have with your writing friends, and you don't really expect it to lead anywhere. It's just, ha ha ha, ha, that was funny, and then you move on. Some time goes by, and essentially, I see Brandon on Facebook, and he's like working on different projects and things like that. And eventually, I get a message basically saying, "Oh, I did a thing." I'm like, "Okay, what?" And he sends me the link to the short film Bad Agent. And it was one of those moments, right? Like in Jurassic Park or whenever a mad scientist does exactly what, does the thing. When the mad scientist does the thing, it left me going, the son of a bitch did it. The son of a bitch actually went and did it. And yeah, lo and behold, Bad Agent was alive. Now, I watched it, of course. Of course, I had to watch it. And as I watched it, I'm like, I remember that, and I remember that, and remember talking about that, and the no offense to anybody involved, but the absolutely the first thing I was amazed by was how much you remembered of the initial conversation. I was like,
"Oh yeah, dude! Like, I had a good time. I had a good time with those conversations.
Nailed it. And then, of course, the second thing, again, no offense to anybody involved, but Brian.
Oh yeah, no, Brian just knocked it out of the damn park. I mean, and Brian, if you're listening to this at all, I still have my Count Chocula breakfast bar that I'm ready to share with you whenever I see you next, buddy. So
we know how much that means to you. It's
well, he appreciates Count Chocula the way I do. So he got his he has a short film that no, it's either a short film or it's a feature length film. I'm not too sure which one. But
the green thing.
I think so. Yeah, he's got that, and it's got accepted into some film festivals. So I say congratulations, and I have a Count Chocula bar for you whenever I see you next, because I know that you would appreciate it.
Well, I was watching, this idea brought to life, and the idea, the conversation turned to, what else can we do with this? And you were like, "Damn, series. We could make a whole series of things."
Sorry, that was me. Wow, I'm sorry. I accidentally muted the computer here.
So you missed that part where I talked trash about you, and
well, yeah, but I mean, I always hear you say it, like, eventually somewhere down the line. You say it again. You're pretty good about that.
Yeah, I repeat myself a lot. You son of a... Anyway, no. What I was saying was, you and I were talking about what comes next, and the first inclination was you said a series. It could be a short film series, or I don't remember the exact wording, but the idea was that the story would continue about this character, and next thing you know, we write a full freaking season of Bad Agent. And Brian comes on board, and I don't know how, and I don't want to understate what it's like working excuse me, sorry. I don't want to understand. Of course, I don't want to understand. I don't want to understate the thought that having Brian a part of the creative process is much akin to, and this is the only example I can think of, it would be like having Shakespeare in the room with Hamlet and Shakespeare going, so what should your next line be? Because that is, of course, how much the character was encompassed. Simon was encompassed in, I don't know if I'm saying the words right. It's been a long day. Bear with me, people.
Yeah, it's okay. See, I know what you're saying. It's like the way he embodied the character.
Yes. Those are the words that I was looking for.
See, the thing is with Brian is that, okay, and I've mentioned this before. Bad Agent, the role of Simon. I had a gentleman audition for the role. This guy, George, and I absolutely loved what George did with it. But the thing about having producers and working as a team is that people have a certain level of say.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to say that it was never my final word, because it always was my final say so and stuff. But we had this guy George, who auditioned, sent a video of him reading out some of the lines, and he did a great job. I loved what he did. It was like this grimy, dingy rendition of of an agent that you would find on Craigslist, basically. That's how it came off. But then I saw Brian's reel, and I'm like, he's got it. Like, after I'd already told George that he got the role. So I had to go back and call George and be like, listen, man, I'm sorry. It went to somebody else. I know I said it was going to go to you, but I'm going to, I want to find something for you, because I'd love to have you in this. I'd love to work with you. And here we are now, about a year and a half later, working on trying to have Bad Agent be either a web series or make it a half-hour series. Now, we'll say this, like, I think he'd be great in some kind of role in the series, like, whether, like, whoever it is. I think he'd be great to play somebody of, like, I guess, just somebody in the series. 'Cause, I mean, he is a good actor, but what Brian did with the role of Simon, you can't replicate that.
No, and just speaking to Brian's talents, when he was a guest on the show, we did the cold reads, and that was just stunning. You would think somebody gets a script in their hand and they look at it and they're like, okay, hell, we write them and we still don't put as much effort as he did into them.
Well, you see, I regret it. The only thing I regret about that cold read is because the laptop was dead, so I had to use my phone. So you could hear me. It just sounded like I was calling into the show, which technically, yes, I was. But it didn't sound like I was actually like one of the hosts of the show. It just sounded like I was
long-time listener, first-time caller.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, you're going to let me be part of this read? Like, yay! Because everyone's audio is so clear.
You're going to be reading a script with Brian Wallace.
Yeah, everyone's reading. Everyone's voice is so clear, but then mine is just so digitized from it being from my cell phone. And you can always tell when I'm on my cell phone, because if you actually listen to me using my headset and my microphone and everything else, it's one thing. It just sounds like this, like nice, clear, crisp. You hear me on my cell phone from like the first couple episodes before I realized, hey, maybe we should just do this through the laptop. Maybe I should just use the laptop to do this. I'll tell you right now, you can tell the difference. So Brian is reading these lines fantastically. I'm playing this employee, I believe, for the for this organization.
Prospective employee.
Perspective employee. Oh man, we have to get our cold reads and just like have individual clips of them. But what Brian did with it was just phenomenal. I enjoyed every second. I was trying so hard not to laugh at him while I was doing the read. Like I had to put my phone on mute a few times while I was like listening to him.
And as the title of the segment suggests, it was a completely cold read. But he nailed the inflections. He gave the character an accent.
Oh yeah. He had never read neither one of us have ever read that script. We had no idea what we were going to be reading. We were just going we were just going along with it. So we're both reading this script, and you can tell I'm reading, and Brian's not reading. He's pretty much, embodying the whole thing. Like he's just soaking it in. So
yeah, not to burst any bubbles or anything, but something you might not have known after that show, Brian and I had a little conversation, and I don't know how to tell you this, but we both definitely agreed that your performance was lacking, to say the least, and quite frankly, we came very close to cutting you loose. But
I would honestly, I would not even doubt it, because like I'm not an actor, man.
He was like,
I can act
sure
with
you.
You put me up with someone that's in you put me up with someone that's in TVs and movies and everything else. Like I'm gonna that's a damn. I'm not gonna be able to act for that.
Up with me. I am an award-winning actor, sir.
Yeah, so am I.
I have won Best Supporting Actor in a one-act play. I am a member of the International Thespian Society. By the way, those are both true facts. I did win an award for acting, and I think the membership still stands, member of the International Thespian Society, both accomplished while in high school. So a brava to me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm that guy. Oh, God.
Well, I just messaged Sue. I asked her my exact message, why listen and interact on our show tonight.
All right, so this is usually the time where we talk about what the future holds for Brandon, but it's apparently harassing people that live far away from you.
Sue is choosing her career over us tonight. How dare she? How dare she?
It's not like you can just download this episode and listen to whenever you want, anywhere fine podcasts are sold. It's not like if you do that, you should wind up leaving a review or rate the show or just subscribe so you can get them all automatically downloaded to whatever podcatcher you choose. It's not like those are things you can totally do.
Shameless promotions, guys.
No shame at all. But, Mr. Yunk, as we close out on our show, what does the future hold for you and those closely associated with you, say via a podcast?
Well, we are currently, as I said, working on either getting Bad Agent up off the ground somehow, whichever platform we take, whether it's a web series or reformatting it and retooling it into an actual half-hour series and making a full season out of it. But we have that going on. I'm working on a feature-length script right now. Two of them. something you should never do. I don't recommend it, but I have potential interest in both. Uh, so I have to get them done. But uh, aside from that, just trying to get back into filming, hoping to God that restrictions lift up so we can just do something. We're trying to get things in order to film a trailer for Bad Agent. So we can either A, use that as a proof of concept, and if not that, then use that to raise finances to just make the damn thing. Because there's anyone that's coming into filmmaking, a bit of advice: you should never use your own money ever. Now, we were talking about Kevin Smith with Clerks. He used a lot of his own money. Um, I think damn near all of it was his own money that he put into it. He maxed out tons of credit cards. He was ready to go.
Books.
He was ready to go into debt. He sold all of his comic books. He sacrificed so many things to get Clerks happening. And because of the success of it and the name he made for himself, he was able to go back and pretty much buy back all of his comic books. It's no different than Sylvester Stallone selling his dog when he was making Rocky, and then going back afterwards and buying his dog back. But you're not Kevin Smith. You're not Sylvester Stallone. You could be the next great writer-director, but that's a hell of a gamble to have these days. I mean, it's today's world of filmmaking is not what it was 26 years ago. And it's even further than what it was 40 years ago when Rocky came out. It is a massive, massive gamble. And it is so saturated, you should never use your own finances. But
I'm going to interject something real quick here.
Go for it.
Kevin Smith, he has been quoted as saying many, many times that filmmaking has... God, I don't remember the exact word he used because tired, but it has become so easy to do that anybody can do it, and that is, of course, on one hand, a blessing for being able to give the ability to make art to anybody, right? But there are those that want to do it a little more seriously that... I don't want to say that the amateur auteurs with their cell phones are a competition for those that are actually trying to make a career out of it, because certainly different levels not the case. But the simple fact of the matter is that because everything has gotten so damn easy to use, as far as editing and shooting itself, it fills up the space very quickly, especially when it comes to YouTubes and things like that. So the people that are actually trying to do something, while again, maybe not in direct career competition with the people that just want to make their, dumb little films and I say dumb, not in an insulting way, but the ones that want to make their little films with their friends and, just, we're having some laughs here. There's still only so much time, in a day that people have to soak in, different avenues of entertainment. So the fact that anybody can do it now is definitely a double-edged sword. And there was a point somewhere in here. I don't remember what it was right now. But chocolate ice cream is good. Go ahead.
I feel like I just watched a presidential debate with you saying that.
Correct.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
For those that don't know,
you honestly, you confused me so much that I forgot what the hell you were talking about too. So don't feel so bad. You lost me too.
And for those that may not be aware, Brandon and I both have what you call regular day jobs. Mine gets me up super early in the morning, so by the time that it's time to do this show, I'm like, okay, yeah. But here we are getting to the hour and a half mark, and I'm like, okay. I've been up for a long time. Yeah. But I'm glad to hear that you got some things in the fire, whatever is supposed to go in the fire. Feet?
Yeah.
No,
No,
no.
there's quite a few things in the pipeline right now. So just a matter of like with this downtime that we have. I mean, I know that they're back to filmmaking, but I work healthcare. Like you said, we have our day jobs. I work healthcare. I can't just go out there on the set full of people and start doing stuff. I've got to be smart about it because COVID is real, and I live in an area where it's plentiful. So got to be careful with it.
Yeah, nah, I can't lose you to some stupid virus, and that would not be cool. God, that's such an understatement. I'm like, dude, you can't die. That would be uncool. That's, I feel like Spicoli. What I'm trying to say is, nope. That covered it pretty well. I'm like I said, I'm glad that there are things happening. Your creative juices are flowing. Mine are as well, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. But this episode's not about me. Brandon, did you happen to see the description of the episode?
I did not. Um, da, 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 da. Yes, Brandon's birthday. We learn all about Brandon as he takes the hot seat for a special birthday episode of the WADcast. That's right, Brandon. This one is all about you. Oh, it is. Me.
See, before the show, about an hour before the show, Brandon texted me and he's like, "So, what's the show about tonight?" And I said, "I'm not telling." Then in jest, he says, "Oh, then I guess I'll just assume it's all about me." And I'm like, "Oh, you raging narcissist."
Yes, but I'm a narcissist you can love.
This is correct. So now that we have everybody with us here, why don't you tell them how to find you on
Well,
the social medias?
you can find me on. Oh man, you can find me on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not me. I don't want you to find me on Facebook, but you can find the WADcast on Facebook. Facebook.com/the WADcast. You'll notice our page with the black picture with the white banner in the middle of it. It says, guess what? WADcast. Underneath of it, it says writers, actors, directors, because that's what WAD stands for. Now that's WAD, WAD, not WAP, WAP. Okay? Writers, actors, directors. We're not talking about any wet ass, stuff here.
Directors.
Wet ass directors.
That's a new T-shirt. That's definitely going to be a
Oh
new T-shirt.
my god! All right. Then you can find me on Instagram, Instagram.com/bjacksman82. That's my personal Instagram account. But if you're looking for us on Instagram, you can find the WADcast on Instagram at, guess what? The WADcast. Just go up into the search, type in the WADcast, one word, and once again you'll see our picture from Facebook, the black picture with the black background with the white. It says WADcast on it, and yeah, that's where you can find me. So, Josh, what about you, buddy?
Well, if you're looking for me directly and you have some choice words to give me about how I did my job tonight. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at skitcomic. But if you want to follow, and I should really use this more often, if you want to follow the show, just go to @WADcastPod. As far as everything else, you can go to semicorestudios.com to check out the links and everything that's available there. You can also check out semicorepods.com. That's a direct address to all the shows. Which, by the way, as long as we're on the subject, for those that listened to the Backstage Slam episode number 216 last weekend, and for those of you that stuck around to the very end, yes, it's true. I did step back from hosting duties of the Backstage Slam. I am on a self-imposed indefinite hiatus. Just long story short, the product just isn't as enticing as it has been, throughout my life, and I could not find it in myself to just keep talking about something that I have not been enjoying. So I figured I would let Ben and just do the show. He'll can continue cranking out the Backstage Slam, and you can continue finding it here. Not on the WADcast, mind you, but, Semicore Studios pods. You can also go to Semicore Studios on Facebook, give it a like. That way you can keep up with the latest crap that I talk about there, including the episodes that go live. If you want to join the live conversation, talk about us in the chat, or more importantly, talk about the stuff we're talking about in the chat. We like to read your thoughts and opinions as the show goes on. So if you absolutely can be here with us every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, do that. Join the chat. We would love to hear from you as we record this. We've had a pretty good string of great shows, and I think tonight really is one of them, because how often do we get to really talk about, and I gotta stop saying really, how often do we get to talk about one of the co-hosts, one of the hosts of this show in such an in-depth way? So that is why tonight our special guest was Brandon. And Brandon, let me say, it was very nice having you here tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me, Josh.
I would love to bring you back sometime, but like I said, my regular partner is kind of a dick and probably wouldn't get along with you.
Yeah, fuck that douchebag.
I keep trying. And anyway.
Oh, God.
Now, right around this time is when I start saying, nice words. So, you know what? I guess I'll continue that tradition. There we go.
California homeowners, if you are sick of paying too much money for electric bills.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just remember this very important truth. The only thing standing between you and your art is you. You have the ability, you have the tools. If you want to create something, create it. Don't hold yourself back. You could be the next whatever you want to be. But to do that, to take that 1,000-mile journey, you have to take that first step. And they're your feet. So do it. Thank you for joining us tonight, everybody. I hope you had a good time. We will see you next week with WADcast episode number 29. Until then, I'm Josh, that's Brandon, and we bid you good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for showing me again.